number 2. Right? Every time somebody does a mic check, it's like mic check 1 2 1 2. It's like 1 2 3 4. All right, we're all here. That should be. Attendance is sent. Before I move on, super quick, 115, 121, and 122 are all due when? Friday. What else is also due Friday? 123. 123 is gonna get shifted. Not really shifted. We're gonna collect 123 Friday because we're using today as a work day. Like, you have time. So even though 123 is kind of gonna classify sort of as Thursday's homework, we're gonna collect that on Friday. Now, one change we are making on the week, there is now 0 chance that we do 125. So, like, yeah, we can wipe that out of our brain. There's 0 chance we're doing 125. Your Chromebook should be out because I know some of them take a while to load, and if your battery is not charged, we should address that now. So, Emery, yes, I know your name, and yes, this announcement also counts for you. What did I just say?
You said that we're not going to do 1 point?
After that.
I know. I was looking at that board.
Sophia, what did I just say?
If you need to get your Chromebook out, or because if it's not charged, sometimes they're slow to like open, but if it's not charged fully, then we should address that right now.
And we also need to check Schoology and Math. So I did not say that out loud, but that's the other reason. So if your Chromebook isn't out, please do that. These announcements are for all of you, not just some of you, right? All right, the homework you just got back. So at this point, I need people looking up here. Your Chromebook might be loading. You might have some revisions you need to do, but that's fine. That's why we're using today as a catch-up. So I need everybody looking up here. Sam, that includes you.
Can I get a loader?
Do you have your Chromebook here today? No. Is there anyone at home that could bring it to you? Is there anyone still at home? Like, it's 9:30. I don't know when people go to work. Is it? Do you want to take my phone and call home and see if anyone can bring it? It's that big of an issue with math testing and everything this afternoon. Like, no one's home. We can figure it out. But like, if somebody could bring it.
Yeah, I think it's home. Thank you.
You need 614 though. So if it's a 614, because my phone is not a 614.
Can I go in the hall?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, you might want to walk towards the door so you have better service.
Yeah, my phone. Why math thing does not have like math?
Yeah, so this is what we're double checking, but here in a minute. So let's talk homework real quick. You don't need a pencil in your hand right now. You don't need your fingers on the keyboard. Lane, talking you to me. So when we turn in homework, and right now you can be looking, did I do this on the homework that we turned in? Because I didn't mark anything wrong if you didn't put your homework in order or didn't staple correctly. But guys, let's talk about how we turn papers in. So when you get papers, pretty much always, unless we sort of made a mistake, they have hole punches and they live in your binder. And likely, hopefully, maybe you keep your papers in order. That's going to be the wrong webcam because I didn't plug in the right one yet. So here's the idea. If your binder is in order, like in general, you'd have 111, then you'd have 112, then 113, then 114. Now I pulled some of mine out because I had to give them to people, but your binder should pretty much be in order. Now if it's in reverse order, that's okay. Like some of you like to put the newest thing on top. I'm a little worried by that because then you don't always look at the older stuff. But when you pull these papers out, if they're in order, you just literally pull them out and then go staple them. And the staple goes in the top left corner above the hole punch, and all of our hole punches should be lined up. Now, some of you are sitting here thinking like, why is he explaining this? Guys, some of you did this wrong. This is why we're reviewing how you turn homework in. So, in order, the oldest one should be on top, but if you do flip order, that's okay, but it's it would help me if you put your oldest one on top to the lowest number. Staple goes top left corner above the hole. Every question needs to be answered. So right now, look through those 3 homeworks that you got back and check. Did each of them have a check at the top right? If it has a check minus, you need to revise something. You either skipped a question, skipped part of a question, like something happened. Most of the time, I put a little note like it's 32. Like go look at 32 or whatever. So if you have a check minus, that's also what you'll be able to do today during class is take care of that and then turn it back in. Eyes on me, because I need to make sure you hear this. Revisions in my class go on a separate piece of paper. That's why I have like an insane amount of paper back there, graph paper of different sizes. If we haven't looked at this yet, which we haven't done it like as a class, in this thing, there are not only note cards, but there are also baby pieces of graph paper, anybody like quarter size, and then there are half-size pieces of graph paper, and I try to keep this stock, so if it runs out, let me know. But like, you don't have to use a full piece of graph paper. But if you're doing a revision, I need to see what's new. Okay, so revisions go on a separate piece of paper, and they get stapled to the front. Any questions right now?
No.
Guys, this is the reason we collect on Friday. Right? I want you to have time to work out your issues. I want you to have time to go to homework help. I want you to have time to come talk with me. I want you to be able to have an evening where you're like, I got practice or a match or whatever. I'm not doing homework tonight. I'll do it tomorrow. This is why we collect on Friday. Don't put off working on your practice. That's a hole you do not want to dig, right? Because it is hard to climb out of that hole once you're like 4 or 5 or 6 assignments behind. Messy is fine. I get it. You're in 7th grade. Your handwriting's not perfect. Neither is mine. Messy is fine. However, unreadable, not fine. Right? Unreadable is not fine. If you need more paper, get more paper. Where can you find paper? Yeah, we all should know. That was kind of a facetious question. Like, you guys know, and everywhere. It should be in your binder. It should be, you should have... Oh, Miss Hassanin. I kind of want to steal some people. Hey, Miss Hassanin's on Dino, so right now I'm not going to fight with it, but be aware that like when you guys are on your computers, we're on Dino. So if you're doing something goofy, Hassanin's probably going to tell me about it later. I will take lined paper or blank paper, but graph paper tends to be better for math. And if you turn in incomplete homework, expect that you're going to get a check minus. All right, take a few minutes to work on whatever you need to. Those graded homeworks, if they're all checks, they can go in your math binder so you have them when you have like a quiz or something that you want to look back at them. I need to take a couple pictures of the advice on my door. Crap, Sophia still has my phone. So there are 13 total numbers, and 4 of them are rule. So we want to try to get this to a fraction that could actually have a probability of 1 time. So, actually, I might just pull this up. actually, before I keep getting distracted, we never checked 121 and 122, and yes, I am recording right now. So really quickly, we're going to look through 121 and 122 to make sure that it's at least recorded on my YouTube. So 121, the first question actually from the homework. And again, please don't copy right now. That just sets you up for not knowing what you're doing on a quiz or a test. If you need help, come get help. Probability, if you look at the range on the back of your notes, goes from 0 to 1. But that 1, what percent did we say that 1 is? Anybody? We wrote it on the notes. I mean, either that or you chose not to. But I gave you the chance to write it on your notes. The probability scale, that 1 is what percent? 100%. So when we look at a situation that has like 25% chance, guys, that's actually the same as 1/4. 25% chance is the same as 1/4. Questions on any of the other things we had to place on the line? Probably be worth it to get out 121 because we're going to want to check that that's done well. Yeah.
I don't understand my C's right there.
Give me just a second.
At the same place as
So this is why I normally like math binder versus whatever, but some people keep their math in the big binder. Is your math in the big binder, I'm guessing? So C, as Emery asked, is 0.8. Now, if I just use that just as 0.8, 0.8 is closer to 1 than it is to 0. Now, if I say it correctly, this is actually 8 what? How do I say this correctly? It's 8 tenths, right? It's in the tenths place. So, if I write it as 8 tenths, I mean, it's 8 out of the way to 10, or if I try to start thinking about it as a percent, I can multiply by 10, because remember, percent out of 100, so it's really 80%. So it's going to be up there near your 1, near your 100%. Any other questions on our probability range? I mean, or you could have put the numbers, or like, guys, I don't count off if you did it just slightly differently. Like, that's fine. As long as you still did it, like engaged with it, practiced it. Theoretical or experimental. Remember the experimental, we did something. We did the experiment. By the way, these are not in math yet because my math is messed up. I don't have all of my kids in my classes. So we're only getting the map to check that you're in my Math 7 class. Don't expect these homeworks to be in math. I could not update map yet. Any questions on theoretical experimental? When I flipped it, it was experimental. But when I only thought about it, the chance of getting, I did not do anything. Can you guys sit together or not? Because honestly, it's distracted me. Like, hopefully we're checking our homework. Obviously, I probably have more written than you do, but it says fractions and percent, right? Write the percent representing each picture. Then write it as a fraction in 2 ways. This is practicing. Do I know percent means out of 100? Right? Do I know that fractions can be reduced or made bigger by doing the same thing on top and bottom? I know we talked yesterday about we censored that poster, but as long as we do the same thing top and bottom, you can change fractions all day long. Any questions? Moving on. 61 I didn't do. I hope you did. I have little like trapdoors in there for like if you're just trying to survive homework by copying mine, not gonna work. 62, if we like kind of give numbers to the different, like guys, my eyes struggle once we get this far away, and I just need to label it 2. and a 1 just to like, okay, yes, if I trace it back over or use a ruler or something. So can we tell how fast his fastest pitch is? No. It might be 75 miles an hour. Maybe. Who knows? It might have been 71 miles an hour. We don't know. It's between 70 and 75. Any questions about Craig and his pitching? Yeah. So then, mystery spinner problem. Probability of purple, orange, yellow, and green. Yours don't have to match exactly, but we should probably have the most green, because green happened the most times. Orange happened like the next most times. Purple happened the next most amount of times, and then yellow. So I wrote out a bunch of work for like how we can actually look at the probabilities and then kind of make our predictions there. But it's sort of one of those things like, if you're close, like maybe you had 5 green and only 2 purple, 2 orange, right? Maybe like, it's okay if you didn't have exactly what I had. Yeah, kind of. Her parents have probably a few thoughts about her wasting their time this morning. But. All right, probability of getting an even on a die. Right, there are 3 even numbers, 2, 4, and 6. So you could say 0.5, you could say 50%. I would just say 1/2. Or you could just say 3/6, right? Like, because there are 6 sides. Factor, who can remind me what are factors? Because, guys, factors and multiples are super easy to mix up. What's a factor and what's a multiple? What's a factor? Obviously, we need to like put this on a test. So we all, Jane?
Any number that can multiply into the original.
It needs to multiply up to that other number. So factors of 6, 1 and 6. Other factors of 6, 2 and 3. Remember factor trees?
Oh, that's the apple tree thing.
Factors, right? So the factors of 6, there are actually 4 of on the die. So 4 out of 6, or we could reduce to 2/3. Questions? One. So then we took that and said, all right, because, sorry, let me switch to ink. So they were asking us probability of getting a factor. So I mean, I wrote the whole thing out and said P of factor of 6, but really what I care that you got to was 4 out of 6, which if you wanted to reduce it, we get 2 out of 3. Because always when we're asked for probability, it's pretty much looking for a fraction. Now sometimes we make it a decimal or make it a percent. The fractions are honestly, in my opinion, better. Now, every percent can compare with each other, so that's where percents are nice. Like, what's more likely, 15% or 34%? 34%, right? What's more likely, 2/3 or 3/7? Yeah, fractions are a bit harder to compare. Percents are easier to compare. Ooh, so do you know? Is 2/3 bigger than a half or smaller than a half? Bigger. Is 3/7 bigger than a half or smaller than a half? So which one's more likely? Yeah, see, like we can get there. Like it's just a little tougher. All right, keeping on rolling. $7.75 per week. So So how many weeks will it take to get there? You didn't necessarily need to like have it all written out like this, but I hope you realize, oh, I should divide to break up how many weeks. All right, so my total goal divided by what I'm saving each week, about 7, because 16 weeks won't be enough money, right? Because we get 16.1, but we can't round that down. 16 won't give us enough money. And you gotta have enough money. Okay, you don't really. Money's all made up anyways. Just go live in the woods.
Yeah, it's just paper with a face.
I changed this problem a tiny bit for you guys because I'm trying to make your life easier. The CPM wanted you to reference 18 inches is 1.5 feet. So I think I sort of left that on there, but I also said 1 foot is 12 inches because that's the thing we all need to really make sure we have memorized. That 1 foot is 12 inches. So here I used the 18 inches. You probably use the 12. It's okay if your work is different, as long as you have some work and you answer every question. By the way, I forget if we talked about it in this class. Your answers don't have to be right, but you probably want to fix them if you know they're wrong. Because if you go to use your homework on a quiz, like you're checking for a formula, checking to see if you did this before, and you did it wrong, that's not a good reference, right? Like, it's not good if it's wrong and you go back and look at it. You at least want to mark that it's wrong. You probably maybe, like, put a Post-it on it or something else. Like, this is how you do it right. Any questions on scaling our axes? On? Wait, be more specific, because I can't do all of them at the same time. Which one do you want? Where could we look if we might need a refresher on scaling axes?
Your math note.
In your math notes. Lon, you got your math notes? Just making sure. Like, I'm not going to make you show me them or anything. Your math notes will remind you that scaling axes is done by taking the entire distance we want to travel and dividing it by how many jumps we have to get there. Like how many spaces, how many steps, right? So it's not actually how many tick marks, like always. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. It's how many jumps. So when I showed my work here, I might zoom in a tiny bit more.
Why could you choose those numbers?
No, like they had to be, like, these are the right answers. That was printed on there for you. That had to be 60 because it was printed on your paper. 0 was here, it was printed on your paper. This is 1, 2, 2. You looking at 1, 2, 2? Okay, we got a lot of different scaling axes problems. So what we saw here is a distance of 60, right? And that's what I wrote right here. How many steps do I have to get there? Well, 1 step, 2 step, 3 step. So if we take 60 divided by 3, each of our steps should be 20. Same process over here, except now our 60 has 4 steps. So 60 divided by 4 is 15. Now we go a different distance of 100, and how many steps? 4 steps, right? You can see from back there, right? Okay, just checking. I mean, like, come on. I couldn't really see from back there if I didn't have my glasses on. So 100, the whole distance we want to travel, divided by 4, tells us each step should be 25, and we just count by 25s. Then we still go 100, but we only go 2 steps, so now my scale gets bigger to 50.
How do you know where you want to go?
Because it told us this 100 and this 0. Those were printed on our paper. This is 1, 2, 2 on the back. Unless it printed wrong.
On that first one, is that you want to go to 60, not 100.
Yeah, they're 4 different problems.
I know, but why would you go 60, not 100? Yeah, 100 is also printed.
So if you could do the 100. Sorry, now I get the question you're asking. On B, there's no other goal, right? Sure, on A, because I just didn't understand what you guys were asking. That's not the button I want. You could look at this on A and do the 100. And if you do the 100, how many steps do you have?
4, 5.
And if you do 100 divided by 5, what do we get?
20.
Same answer.
So it didn't matter which one we did.
Didn't matter whether you did the 60 or the, as long as you changed the amount of steps.
So
We're out of time. I know. It sucks. We're out of time, and I got to make sure I send you guys to your next class, because I already assume Mr. Estes doesn't know the schedule, because he told me this morning he doesn't know the schedule. So we got to start moving. So everyone else starts moving. Clip your papers in your binder. Do not rush, because we're out of... Sam, oh, you don't have a binder. Sorry. You don't have a binder to clip them in. Is there anywhere safer that could go? Should I hang on to it till we find it? Like, up to you, but I'm just saying, like, guys, papers that get shoved away make me very worried. If you had a check minus, please address that and just turn it back into the bin. Homework is due Friday. We're not adjusting what's due, but we're adjusting, like, the homework.
Mr. Hudson,
Yes.
can we come in during our second AO?
Yeah. You can come into me during any AO. Like, I'm always here during AO.
What if we finish our test? Can we come in then?